Hello, everybody. It is Andy from Nerds on the Run coming at you once again with a reaction to the pre E3, or I guess we can officially say E3 has started since everybody's just going early. This is a reaction to Google's Stadia Connect announcement. The Connect is just like the Direct, just like the State of Play. It's a polished, pre-recorded presentation about what's coming from the company. So, as I have alluded to in the past, I didn't have a lot of expectations for this Connect that announces the Stadia. But I was impressed, fairly impressed with what I saw. I do still have some pretty strong reservations. That said, so the I guess what it boils down to, for those of you that don't understand what the Stadia is, it is a streaming service. They announce it's $10 a year. $10 a month, so $120 a year, and they didn't announce any packages beyond that, with one exception. And the service essentially allows you to play games from either a Chromecast on your TV, which the founders package, the exception I mentioned, comes with, or it allows you to play it from any Chrome browser on a tablet, a laptop, a desktop, or for now a Pixel 3. They did say that they would be trying to have parity to other smartphones in the future, but it did say, so it does have this element to it where it's essentially, it's the service, it's a controller which has a very similar vibe to an Xbox controller, and then the package that they're calling the Founders Package comes with is $130, so it's fairly affordable. You get 3 months included in that, so there's $30 in the price point there. With your other $100, you're getting a free copy of Destiny 2. And when I say copy, we're going to have to start using that word lightly in this digital era, because it's access to playing Destiny 2. But it is, everything is handled on the Google end. Processing is handled on the Google end, and then the game streams. So you don't ever download anything. You don't ever you don't have to install anything. It's fascinating for sure, and what they're claiming is at 35 megabit per second down connection, you're going to be able to get 4K graphics, you're going to be able to get 5.1 gigs sound, you're going to be able to get 60 frames per second. Now, 35 isn't available everywhere. I do come from a place of privilege. There's lots and lots of people that have much faster than that around here. Pardon the clock. I definitely would say I can easily access 35. Maybe on a day with some hiccups, I'm at 33 down, 32 down. And then you can pull down, they say 10 megabits down is the minimum required, that you could be rocking a 720p resolution at that speed, and then anywhere in between. I think they said around 20 down for 1080p. If that ends up being true, that's definitely a revolution in the technology that's available now. That's a big jump. I imagine if you live somewhere that has Google Fiber or something like that, there'll certainly be, again, some parity with the service that's from the studio that develops it. But I definitely, from some of the testing, the stream testing, I can't remember what the event was called, but Google did some stream testing last year in 2018, where they did I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey was the game that was being played. It did look pretty good. There's some input lag. Back in last year's test, there was some input lag, and then there's some tech people, forgive me, maybe you can leave a comment, but there was some aliasing and like black banding and missing bits of the screen as a result of the the streaming process being a little bit imperfect. So to say you get 4K, to say you get 60 frames per second, that's all well and good. They are talking about pushing major console games on this. I can't even say hardware really. This service. But with those kinds of issues, I do have reservations to see how does it actually hold up, in 2019, supposedly launching this fall. If they're going to have games like Mortal Kombat on there, which are competitive, require fast input, and so I wonder how that will come across. They're going to have games like The Division on there, the Division 2. Again, I don't know how that would come across, but if they've pulled this off, that's if we could dream big for a second, if we can forget the input delays, if we can forget some of the aliasing and stream banding issues, you could, the appeal of the Switch, for example, you could bring your Pixel 3 and your Stadia controller with you anywhere you want to go, and if you can find a reasonable internet connection, you're golden. You have access to your games. They do talk a little bit about sometime later down the road, if you don't have the $10 a year, I think they're calling it the Stadia Pro subscription. If you don't have that, they are talking about the thing that I think fascinated me most. I believe they're calling it the Stadia Base or the Stadia. I apologize, I don't remember what they called it, but the Stadia, it's like the Stadia Base package where basically you can buy outright games, $60 for full title releases and stuff, on the Google servers. Again, so you're not buying a copy, you don't own it per se. I mean, they say you own it, but if you don't have access to it without a connection, I don't know if you call that ownership, but you can buy access to a copy and play it on any of your Chrome browsers yourself. That service is not live yet or available, but I do wonder how that will work. Does that mean for instance, does that just mean that I pay $60 for a copy of Sekiro, and I can play that game just on a Chrome browser without access to the subscription, whereas the subscription kind of via Xbox Live, kind of via PlayStation Plus, they say there's a lot of free games, that are available on there. So, and the reason I use Sekiro as an example is because the last thing that was impressive about this announcement is the number of games developers that looked like they were backing this thing. I saw FromSoft on there, I saw Bethesda on there, I saw Rockstar on there. They are just really supporting this thing properly. It does make me wonder how porting games would work on this kind of server based computational service. But if that's something that's reasonable and can be done, that's definitely really cool. I would say this thing was really Ubisoft heavy in its backing. I mean, Ghost Recon was there, Assassin's Creed was shown, and The Division. So I mean, Ubisoft is definitely fully in, which they usually are when it comes to the conventional hardware. Or the unconventional hardware. Excuse me. Well, there I go saying hardware again. Really, the only piece of hardware with this thing is the controller, which comes in like they call it just black, a simply white, and wasabi are their colors for the controller. So wasabi one was my favorite, if I'm honest. I don't know if this is a service I'm fully bought into yet. I think once I find out how the kind of the Stadia base, or I'm definitely calling it the wrong thing, so I apologize for that, but whatever the Stadia base model that they're talking about, base service, I would think that if this thing does perform properly, I would probably be most interested in that, if only for the reason that this does seem to have the backing of a lot of PC release games, which there aren't too many PC exclusives. But when there occasionally are, which for example they led with a Baldur's Gate trailer, Baldur's Gate 3, which is like a really D&D heavy inspired. Somebody can tell me it's been years and it's been decades since the last entrance to that. which was kind of based off the early, I think, kind of version 2 of D&D, I think. Version 5 of D&D is out now, and I've heard this is heavily based off that. It has a really cool, really sharp, like, Mind Flayer trailer, very creepy. Baldur's Gate 3 would be definitely a game that I'd be willing to play on this. And so I guess you can't call it a PC exclusive anymore if it's on the Stadia. But for games that are occasional releases like that, I could definitely see myself getting involved in, for RPGs and for adventure games where the input delay doesn't really cost you much because it's not in a competitive environment like a fighting game, like a Twitch-based shooter. That could be really, really cool. So that's kind of, the ins and outs of the Stadia. Please leave some comments and let me know what you're thinking about the device, the service, whether you're excited about it, and give us some information or some corrections if I get anything wrong there. But I am hopeful that this could be something cool, something to light the fire under the competitors, to make sure their streaming services are up to snuff, and we can talk about it more as we learn what the actual performance and facts of it are after release. This has been Andy with Nerds on the Run, and I hope you all have a great day. Take care.